Are you sick and tired of getting the same results every single time on building a Bloxburg house that you do not like and wasting all your precious time? Well, today I am going to show you how to build your own original dream house in Bloxburg just like these ones. You too can become a builder just like me and make speed builds here on YouTube.
You too can look like me. Ka-chow.
Today I am going to be going through the steps you need to do to create your dream house of your kind. Whether you like coastal homes, modern, neoclassic villas, or beautiful contemporary homes, that is all up to you. In this video, I will be showing you the details you need to build any style of your choice, and with any game passes you have, it doesn't matter because you can build a beautiful home no matter what you have purchased in this game. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you guys is layouts. So when I create a layout, I usually use inspiration online. Today I am going to be using this beautiful coastal home. So this is just going to be an inspired build to what I did before. So usually when I start a house, I start out by placing a few walls just in the front and kind of making like a shape that's very not so boxy but very like farmhousey in a way, because I feel like this style of suburban homes matches the best. So I usually just place box walls all around and kind of make my own shape that I think would look big enough for the house I am creating. So as you can see, I got this shape for the first floor, and I'm going to add a side garage because I think side garages are really pretty in homes. I really love to do side garages. I think they give such a unique shape to homes in the front yard especially, and they're just so beautiful. So I'll usually make the garage about 5 or 6 blocks away from my house so it looks very spaced out correctly. Then I usually go into fences and I place a garage entryway driveway that is usually curved because I like the curved driveways better than the just straight ones, and I'll kind of connect it to where the front deck is going to be. In this case, for this home, it is going to be over here. So here is my driveway, and now I will just add usually a floor, and I'll connect the dots to the fences to make my driveway. You don't have to add a second floor, especially if you don't have the game pass, but in this case I'm going to, just because I love 2-story homes. I think they're awesome and so pretty. Usually for this I'll just go over the house until the roof looks nice, but I am going to do just a boxy suburban coastal home, so I am just going to do a shape that I think will work for roofing. Once I have the shape of the home, I will go ahead and add a roof onto the top. Usually I go for the gable roofs as they look the best in Bloxburg. You might have to do some adjusting, but for this home it worked out pretty well to where I could automatically place the roof, and I usually raise it up as high as I'd like. In this case I'm going to go for a higher up roof just so I can add a window right up here. As you can see, I put my roof up here, and now I'm going to make the garage roof. So for the garage roof, it also is automatically placed, so I just hit my right click on my mouse to just place that roof right over there. And then over here I am going to decide on either a side deck or maybe I'll just add another roof. I think in this case, since we're doing a coastal home for my style, I think I am going to add a deck off of this area. I think that'd be a really cute little thing to add onto this house. However, you can do whatever your heart desires, especially for whatever style you are building. Okay, so let's get into the front porch. So for my front porch area, I usually do a porch on every house. So for this house, I am going to just do a wraparound porch that kind of wraps around to this little area. I'll usually add a basement, and then I'll do like a flat roof, and then I'll just add up my porch right over here and place it as a flat roof. For stairs on the front of your house, you can add just basic shape blocks, or if you don't have the Transform Plus, you don't have to do a front porch, but in this build I decided to, since it's a coastal home that I am pursuing, I would definitely recommend adding the front porch if you do have that Game Pass. Just for the glory of this architecture, I decided to go with square pillars, but you can go with whatever style fits your house. And usually I'll just add pillars around every corner of my build, and usually I'll color them industrial white because I think it really gives a beautiful modern look to any type of home, and it really just brings out the detailing on any type of house. So I usually just add them up around my houses just to give that more detailed look. So I decided to delete this deck, and I'm going to actually add a normal slanted roof. I think roofs that go like this, that connect to the house, look very nice, especially with modern homes. I love how it just slants into the house. For the front porch area, I'll usually just add a slanted roof that connects to the house, as it looks the best for any type of home. I'm going to do a hangover as well on the front.
Oh my god, thank you so much
to Aria for just donating me $10,000. That is my friend. If you did not know, thank you so much. Usually I'll just decide how big I want the roof for the front, just like the top of the roof we did up here, and if I want to expand it or not. But in this case, I'm going to make it this big. I think this is a great size for the roof. If you have Transform Plus, I recommend doing a archway, little triangular hangover 2 onto the roof. So I usually use wooden planks for this, and I will just make a little triangular little area, which
Bloxburg has tax now? What the heck?
Okay, this game is becoming way too realistic. Oh my gosh, my money is going to
die.
So usually I'll just keep adding on planks to each other, and this is the easiest way to make a custom roof to really bring out the detail on your roleplay home. And I'll just keep connecting it to the main roof onto the house, as you can see, so it all connects and looks very natural. Sometimes it'll have this little gap in between the house and the roofing, so I usually just add like a structural pillow. A structural pillar, and then I just connect it like that so it looks very natural. Now let's get into wall trim. Usually I'll just use the medium baseboard, and I'll color industrial white to match the pillars, and I just wrap that around the whole entire house by automatic placement. Now for the front of the house, I definitely want to do a custom pillar, so usually I'll just use a raised square pillar and I'll place it, and then I'll color the whole thing, usually again industrial white. And then this is a very important part, to make pillars as detailed as possible. So I usually go to structural, and I'll take a small round rod, and I'll usually do custom placement, and I'll make like
a little what the heck?
Anyways, we're gonna use a standard round rod because the small one did not work for some reason. So we're going to make just a little square rectangular shape onto the pillar. I usually just do the front of the pillar just to save money. And once I make that, I'll usually do another square inside of that square, and that makes it really detailed, and it gives a beautiful border texture to it. And then I'll usually color that industrial white as well, just to give some texture to that pillar. Then I'll usually only use these pillars on the parts that really pop, like the porch in the front, so that is very beautiful. As you can see, it's very elegant. And then over here to the garage, I'll probably do one right here. And then I'll usually do like a hangover onto the garage if you want that, but if you don't, that's okay too. So here this is so far looking good. You don't have to build this exact house, by the way. This is just tips and tricks on how to build your dream house, so you can do whatever style you would like. This is a very important part, and I cannot stress this enough. This part really makes the most difference with everything I am showing you today, besides the custom windows I am going to show you later on. But right now, you really should use tall traditional molding on your roof. So go to structural and place the tall traditional molding onto custom placement, and I want you to wrap this around any roof you have on your build, and this makes the biggest difference. and then color it industrial white to match your pillars or whatever pillar color you decided on, and wall trim. And I will just wrap this around usually all my house roofs, and this makes the most detail you can possibly imagine onto your roofs. It really makes it so realistic and beautiful. I will usually even do it on the front arches, and I'll do it on like the roofing over here on the front of the porch, and I'll wrap it all the way around. I won't miss one spot. And when you have these little gaps like this, I recommend just putting it like that. And then as you can see, you'll have a little gap in between your other archway of your tall traditional molding. So usually I'll just connect it like this. And then sometimes I will even drag it out with my little transform tool over here and kind of arch it a little bit so it's slanted and make it really nice looking and elegant, just so it connects just like that. And for the normal roofs, I'll just connect it to the side, and then I'll have this little gap which looks really weird without connecting it, and then I'll just connect it just using another little piece right here, and it connects the molding together just like this. And then I'll just bring it right out, turn it a little bit, and voila! Then I'll do the same for the garage right over here. So as you can see, I have completed all the molding around the top roof of the house and this little archway over here. Now we're going to get into a more difficult part of this build, but definitely worth it for any custom homes you are trying to make, especially for your dream houses. I like to make my windows really pop on houses, so sometimes I will take a door, which you can get the tall double door frame, and I just place it onto where I'm going to put a window. This might seem really confusing, but just watch as I do this. I usually drag it out so it's very wide of a window. This is going to be a window. So I take basic shapes, and I will take a cube, and I will line it up to that door frame for a floor, just like this. And then I will drag this out a little bit, and then I will continue to add my little framing for this window. So I usually make it a little bit wider for the little like bottom area where the glass is going to go, so the glass looks realistic, because glass is obviously thinner than usually like say sheetrock. So I take this and I just drag it out to match that door frame window area, and I'll usually drag it up depending on how big I want my window. So in this case, I'm gonna have my window go from here to here. So I just make my little area for the wall. Usually I'll line out this area, and then I will continue to do little squares across this little border for the window. Then on the inside of the rectangles, I will just place the same thing again, just to overlap a little bit, and then it looks very, very elegant and professional. Usually it turns out something like this, and then I'll just color industrial white. This just gives it a little bit of pop, and I'll color the floor industrial white as well. Then let's get into the harder part of the windows. So for these windows, I usually just place a transparent cube, and I'll just make it as thin as possible, and then I just do the height of however big I want my window. So for this window, I'm going to do it this big, and then I will make the border of my window. So for this border, I'm going to use small square beam, and I'm just going to outline my window. And then I'm going to go into structural again, and I'm going to get the smallest round rod I can, and then I'm going to make a window kind of texture across so it looks like a window. In this case of a house, I'm going to make mine black, but you can do whatever color you want. I'm just going to do black since I'm doing a coastal farmhouse, but you can do whatever color you want for your windows. I usually do white windows, but since this is a modern farmhouse, I want to make a very contrasted color scheme. Then I will just copy and paste the windows next to each other so it gives it a realistic look of a big window. Then I will take another cube and I'll just place it where the wall doesn't connect yet to that window. And then I will just scale it as needed to fit that wall, and I will drag it up to the top of that door frame. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. And then for the top, I will just do the same thing. I'll place a cube right on top, and then I will just scale it down to match these little wall pieces so it connects like a square, just as like that. Then I will usually color this industrial white. And for the sides of this beautiful little window, I will just add a wall connecting to this wall. And then the same thing on the other side. Now for the roofing of this, I will usually just copy and paste one more on top. And then I'll just add another door frame right on top. For the roof of this part, I usually just go into structural and I add a basic shape, which is usually a horizontal wedge, and I'll just place it right on top, and then I'll just drag it out to fit this upper piece. This usually comes out something like this, and then I'll pursue just a little hangover on this as well, but instead of using these big beams, I usually use the industrial beam just to make it a smaller border across the roof. As you can see, this window looks so much better than just a basic original Bloxburg window. Sometimes I'll copy and paste these around the build so I don't have to repeat that step ever again, because I know it can be difficult. Now for the other windows across this build, I usually just go and take a clear window to make my other custom windows. I place a clear window wherever I need it, and I'll scale it down to be a good size window. Then I go into structural and I'll just take a thin square beam and I'll just wrap around the whole window with this beam. Then I will pursue to color the whole window industrial white or black, depending on what you want to do for this build. I might go with white. I just changed my mind. I'm actually going to make it all black just for this farmhouse. Then I'll take a round rod like the other window and just make a window texture. As you can see, once again, these look so much better than the default windows. Then you can just copy and paste wherever you need. To make another window that is just as custom and beautiful, sometimes I'll make a little square window when I have these little like very small wall areas, and it'll just be a little square normal window that is very basic, and I'll just color it the same way, and then I'll just add a little window area texture, and it'll turn out just like that for a little small area that can't fit a big window. I try to use a variety of different windows because it really brings out the detailing of your house. I use different shapes and sizes for windows, and I usually just repeat this step all throughout the property. I use a variety usually of 3 to 4 different windows just to give it that pop and texture of a beautiful modern farmhouse. I really love making sunrooms in Bloxburg. I think it's such a beautiful concept. So I will usually do custom doors for my sunroom. So I usually take a tall double door frame, just as we did with the windows over here, and then I take a cube and I start making my custom door. I make sure that they're both going to fit as a double door, so I usually do French doors for my modern farmhouses because they're so beautiful. So once again, I'll make the wall bigger than the glass is going to be, just so the texture is amazing, and I'll usually go about this big for the bottom of the door, and then I'll add the glass in, which is usually just a clear block, and then I'll just raise it up as high as I want the glass to go, and then I will just expand it so it fits the window equally, and then I will just take that same block that we used for the bottom and I will add it on to these little corners, and then I will raise it up all the way to the top again, just like we did with the window. So it's kind of like repeating the same step but for a door. And then we have our door frame, and then I'll do the top, which is just the same thing. It's just dragging it across just like this, just to line it up with the sides of the door. And then we have the basic door frame, and then I will add some detailing onto the door, like a window kind of. So we will just do it as this, and I'll do 3 lines of glass panes in there, and then I will add usually a doorknob. For doorknobs, there's so many different designs you can do, but I usually go with this one, seeing it's the cheapest concept. I'll usually take a standard square beam and I'll just raise it up as high as I want the doorknob, and then I'll just kind of play with it to make it as big as I want it. So I want mine this big, and I make sure it sticks out through both sides so it is equal on both sides of the door, so you can see it from the front and back. And then I'll do the doorknob, which is usually just a round rod. I want to color this black as well, just to match the aesthetic of the house. And you are able to copy and paste it, and they're worth about $1,800 each, and I usually leave one open or both closed, depending on what I want to use them for. But if you leave them open, people will probably sneak into your house and rob you. And there you have it. Here are your double doors for your house, where you can place wherever you want to, and they're just so beautiful and elegant. Now, for the front door, I always like to use actual working doors. Usually I go with this one because it is the best one and it looks the most realistic, but to make it even more realistic, usually for this door on my modern farmhouses, I'll take a block and I'll usually just add it up to like that height, and then I will make another square onto this just to make it like some beautiful framing on the house. And then I'll go in the inside of that square and do the same thing on repeat. Then I'll just add it onto both sides of the door, and I'll color my door whatever color I desire. I'm gonna go for a black door, seeing this is a modern farmhouse, and I'm going for a black and white color scheme. And then I'll add some lines going down the windows just to give it more of a window look, and I'll color that white to match. Now you have a beautiful door that looks super realistic and is fully functional. For the garage, I usually go for these doors, seeing they're also the most realistic. They're called the traditional garage door, and I usually go for one 3 squared door, and then I'll go for the 4 square door. And to make this more realistic, sometimes I will go and add some lines going through the windows of it, and it still is functional, don't worry. And this just gives it a up look of more realistic look, and I love it so much. It is very pretty. A lot of people use this hack for their garage doors just to bring it to life. Sometimes on top, I will add this little detail onto the roof, as I think it is so pretty. I'm gonna color mine a linen color with some log texture, but you can do whatever color you want to, but I want to do this one just so I can really match the modern farmhouse color scheme. I think wood, white, and black go so well together for a house color scheme. It's one of my personal favorites, but you can do whatever you want to. But this is my color scheme for this house. However, do whatever color suits your style. Okay guys, now we're gonna go for the lighting on the exterior. So I usually use these classic outdoor wall lamps, as they're the best ones and the most realistic and not too expensive. And we're gonna go with flint color, seeing it is the best neutralized color in this game for lighting, in my opinion. So we're going to do the outside, just decorate around it with these lantern lights. They're so pretty. I love them so much. I'm gonna put some on the doors, and I also add some just in random places. Like sometimes I'll put them up here or down here, and it just gives it more of a realistic color. I love it so much. It's beautiful. Now we'll add some ceiling lights. I'm gonna go with these, seeing they're very modern farmhousey. I love these lights so much. These are called the rustic ceiling lamps, if you did not know. And I'm just gonna add these around the house. And for a more brighter light, I use cloudy gray, seeing it's kind of the lighter version of flint without using the custom color wheel. Now we're gonna color the house. So for a color scheme, you really should go for these color schemes if you're trying to go for more of a modern home. Something that really helps me when I'm building a house is a color palette myself. So I will usually place a bunch of little individual walls so it looks like this, and you can color each one individually, and I will then mark up my color scheme. So I'm gonna go for industrial white for this color scheme, and then I'm going to go for industrial white brick, and then I sometimes go for like a mid gray. Then I will go for usually a smoky gray or a black color, And then I am going to go for this little horizontal plank color scheme as well. You can also use as many textures as you'd like, but these are my this is my color palette. You can also color the other side of the wall if you need more color schemes for your palette. This house, I am going to go for black shingle roof tiles, roof tiles, and I think that makes the house really beautiful. Then I'll usually color the driveway just a medium stone gray, and then on the outside of these edges I will usually make these a little bit lighter than the driveway just to give it the contrast of the stonework. I added a couple windows near the door because I felt it was needed, because it was very open here and it needed some windows to go next to that door. Sometimes, depending on the house, I will add a chimney. In this case, I am going to add a chimney because I feel like it's needed for this type of house. So usually I'll add it on the roof that is usually hanging over my front porch, and then I will raise it up just a bit, and I'll usually color that related to what color scheme I went for. In this case, I went for a white and black color scheme, so I'm doing a white chimney.
Okay, now this part is very, very, very important, okay?
So this part, we are going to be adding all the plants. Now, you are going to want to use decal plants if you want a realistic house. However, you don't have to. You can always use the default plants, but I tend to use the decal plants when making my dream house because my dream houses are in real life and I want to make it realistic. So here are some of my favorite decal plants to use. I will put them on the screen and you can use the codes if you want to. These are not made by me, but these are some plants from other creators on Roblox that I love so much. So here they are on the screen right now. You guys can use these in this house or you can use them on whatever property you'd like to, but I tend to use these the most. Anyways, we're gonna start out with making a custom palm tree plant. So usually I will just start my my trees by a cylinder, and then I'll just kind of raise it up a bit as tall as I want it for like till the middle hits there, and then I'll just take another one, copy and paste, then I'll move it down, then I will kind of curve it out a little bit so it kind of lines up with that part, and then I'll do the same thing and I'll just keep, whoops, I just put it to night. And then I'll just keep curving it out till it looks like a palm tree, and then I'll make it as tall as I want it to be. And then I will go ahead and take a transparent cube, and then I will put my palm tree plant on there, and I will make it as big as I want it. For this specific tree, I feel like I am going to use either bark or wicker just because it looks the best for this type of plant. As you can see, this really made the build so much more realistic. Now I'm just going to place dirt garden areas where I want them to be. I'm going to put one right around this area, and then I'm going to put one right over here. So this will be your gardening area where you will have all your bushes and plants in this little area where you can plant them like a little garden, and I kind of round them out just to make them more realistic. And I'm just going to scale it however big I want my bush to be, and I will then copy and paste it on both sides so it looks like a realistic 3D bush instead of it just being 2D. Then I will copy and paste it where I feel as needed. Usually I put them in only a few places just so it doesn't get too expensive. In this case, I put it just around the dirt piles here and there, and then I will do the same thing but with a different plant. And right now I'm going to go for this grassy plant right over here. So this one is kind of smaller, so I will only be using one side for this to make it cheaper. And then I will just copy and paste a couple around the plot. We're going to use more of these than the bushes just because they bring out more color to the house and they're beautiful. I know they're white, but they're still like super beautiful. I didn't want to use pink or anything for this build just because I'm trying to make it just a modern farmhouse theme, so I just went for the neutral colors that are usually in a modern farmhouse. As you can see, this really brought it to life. Now I will continue to just use rocks around the gardening areas to really make it realistic and Bloxburg-like at the same time. I will also use different types of rocks just to bring out the detail in this house, and just because it looks so much better when you use a variety of different things, especially with your gardening. For the front porch, you're going to want to put a plant on there because if not, it's going to be really basic and really boring. So I usually put 2 plants in front of the door, seeing that's the easiest tactic I can give you. And then I usually put a gardening pot in between the decal and the deck, and then I just color the pot whatever color I want. I'm going to use black for this plant just to match the door. Then I will put a carpet down. If you don't want to use a decal carpet, you can just use a regular carpet like I am doing right here. You can do whatever color you want. In this case, seeing it's a modern farmhouse, I'm just going to use white once again, and then I'm going to color the carpet whatever color I want to. Your exterior is now finished with whatever house you decided to create. However, you still have to do the inside layout to be able to decorate your house. So let's get into the inside layout. I'm using white for my color scheme for the interior because white is usually the best color to match everything. I really love the white color scheme with houses just because you can put any color you want and it still matches. I recommend doing black, white, gray, or any neutralized color to just match every furniture piece you put in your home. You want to add windows throughout the interior. I had the windows last around the house just because you don't know what rooms you are going to add to your house yet, so I usually just put them as I go. Coming into the interior, you're just going to want to color everything the same color you did the garage, or if you want different colors, you can do that as well. But for this, I'm just going to do white until I decide on my accent walls and all that fun stuff. But right now, I'm just going to color the whole thing white. You're going to want to pick your floor color. For this home, I want to just do, I'm going to say a linen color for the floor, or you can go with dark brown. I think actually I'm going to go with dark brown, just seeing it is a modern farmhouse. I really like the dark brown. You're going to want to pick where your staircase is going to go. Mine is going to go right over here, seeing this is the perfect space for my interior to do a staircase over here. You're then going to want to pick your entryway. My entryway is just going to be this big space right here. And as you can see, I'm going to make mine a high-rise ceiling, which means I am not going to add anything over here, like no floor or anything. It's just going to be a high ceiling. And then I'm going to pursue a little fence going around just so it looks like a high ceiling right here. I also want a high ceiling living room. So for this build specifically, I'm going to just do the upstairs right now because I want to make sure that I have enough room for all the bedrooms and my high ceiling living room. This is my high ceiling living room. It looks really good. It's a good shape for my liking. And then I go ahead and I place like something to represent that room, to label it. So that will be the living room right over there. This is my entryway. That's a high ceiling, and I will go ahead and add a chandelier just so I know that it is my high ceiling living room and I don't add a floor here. Wait. That'll be my 2 high ceiling rooms. Upstairs, I'm going to do 2 bedrooms. So I'll do one here, which will be the master bedroom, and I will add a bathroom and a master closet. And then this will be my other bedroom, side where my kitchen's going to be. Usually I do it right off of the entryway. So here is going to be my kitchen, and I'm going to do a little pantry here, which is going to be a 2x2 pantry. And then over here, I want more bedrooms, so I'm going to do another bedroom here. And then I'm going to do 2 more bedrooms here. This is our main layout of the house. We have 3 bedrooms downstairs, a living room, a bathroom, a entryway that can have an office, a kitchen, a pantry, and then upstairs 2 more bedrooms, a bathroom, a closet, a entryway area upstairs, like a landing, and then we have the high ceiling living room and the high ceiling entryway looking down. So in total, this house has 5 bedrooms, and I did that by incorporating my spaces into smaller spaces, smaller bedrooms, but there's still a decent sized bedroom. So that means that we properly made this house how we wanted it, properly proportioned it the way that you wanted it, and we can properly proportion to have the amount of bedrooms we want and still have nice sized bedrooms. So from here on, you're just going to want to add your windows all around the house wherever you want it. As you can see, I have a deck in my back, so you can add a deck if you want with doors going off of it, just like we did in the front over here with the custom door. Here's my final full dream house exterior. I absolutely love it. Please make sure to subscribe and like this video and message me on Instagram if you want to build. I charge Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, etc. Make sure you have a wonderful day. Give this video a thumbs up, and please share to me your dream house that you created with this video and help and tips that I gave you for building.